Hello my friends and welcome once again to this Red Gaming Tech video, myself and Marta. Hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. As always, I'm here with the latest news from the tech world from the last 24 or so hours as of the 23rd of August, and we're going to kick off the proceedings today with some very interesting comments regarding Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now obviously, since the game released, there has been a lot of talk about just how incredibly demanding this game actually is. And well, apparently that's going to generate quite a bit of revenue in the PC hardware space, according to the research firm John Petty Research. And they estimate that over the next 3 years, $2.6 billion will be spent on PC gaming hardware just to run and play the simulator. Now just to be super clear here, we're not just talking about CPUs, GPUs, or pre-built PCs or anything like that. They're also counting for things like monitors, joysticks, rudder pedals, simulation pits, and even VR sales. I do have a bit of a statement here from Ted Polark, senior analyst of the gaming industry, and they said, quote, flight simulators are incredibly demanding on processing capability and reward high resolution, large displays, and VR use. When new flight simulators are released, the hardware to run them at max settings and performance does not even exist yet. This creates a situation of constant hardware demand over the life of the title as fans chase the best experience. A significant number of flight sim fans only play flight sim. We took this into account when calculating whether the money will be spent specifically or partially because of this game. Now it is also worth keeping in mind that this particular figure of $2.6 billion is based on the expected sale of 2.27 million copies of Microsoft Flight Simulator. So obviously do keep that in mind, but obviously flight simulators do have a pretty hardcore fan base, so we'll have to wait and see, of course, but I wouldn't actually be all that surprised. Anyway, we're going to move on now to some things from Nvidia, and we have a small update from yesterday's RTX 3090 picture reveal. So in case you missed it, yesterday in our video we discussed the reveal of some photographs of the RTX 3090, and of course if you have missed it, you can just find it obviously on the channel. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it because we do go into some new rumours about the pricing and such as well for Nvidia, as well as a few other things of course. Anyway, so following on from the reveal yesterday, we have a very interesting tweet from Usman Perzada, who of course is the senior editor over at WCCFtech.com. And he says, quote, just confirmed 310mm and 2.75 slots to be precise. Can't say more, so don't ask. Now it is worth keeping in mind that this is for the Founders Edition card, the Nvidia version of the card. So if you're perhaps concerned that this particular card is just not going to be a good fit for your case, like it literally won't fit, or perhaps it's going to be a bit too tight for the airflow or whatever, you can of course look to AIBs. They will usually have various different designs that will perhaps not be quite so demanding space-wise. And it does actually make sense if you look at the photos of the card from yesterday. The RTX 3090 absolutely dwarfs the Turing card. It's actually kind of insane how big it is, and obviously it is very possible that Usman has outdated information or whatever, and it is also very possible that those photos from yesterday are fake, but they're pretty convincing is all I will say. But obviously it's not going to be all that long before we find out one way or the other. The Nvidia event is due to take place in just over a week, I believe. But speaking of Nvidia, we actually have a bit of an update to that old power connector thing that was going around a while ago. So if you cast your mind back a little while ago, you may recall that there were some reports doing the rounds that the brand new RTX Ampere cards from Nvidia would actually feature a new 12-pin power connector, and there was some pictures and such doing the rounds at the time. Now we apparently have some new information on this thanks to the folks over at Bilibili. It was also helpfully reported by the folks over at videocards.com, so thank you very much to them. Anyway, so what we can see from the picture is a Seasonic Nvidia 12-pin PCIe Molex MicroFit 3.0 connector. And as you can also see in further pictures, it is a dual 8-pin to single 12-pin power cable. And again, it is for Seasonic power supplies. So for the Founders Edition, we might see something bundled with it, and maybe this is like an optional thing if you don't want to use the extender that comes with the graphics card or whatever. There's a few possibilities as to what's going to happen there, but Seasonic are just saying at the moment that it is currently only being used for testing, but the folks over at hardwarelux.de have already said that they've received the connector for its power supply, so if that was the case, then it's not really for testing, is it? Regardless though, it does seem to be a pretty finalised product that has already been shipped to reviewers ahead of the RTX launch, so while we should always wait the week and a half or whatever it is until Nvidia's reveal, it does look to confirm at least that we will be seeing a brand new 12-pin power connector for the Founders Edition cards. So as usual, we should always wait for official word from Nvidia before saying this is 1000% confirmed, but it is looking like it is pretty much confirmed. But of course, we're going to have to wait that long, as I've already said, until the official reveal for the RTX cards. But with all that said, let's move on from our good friends over at Nvidia to something regarding AMD and their Ryzen roadmap. So this time around we have maybe UW to thank for this over on Twitter. I probably just butchered the pronunciation of that username, so apologies. And they have tweeted a incomplete roadmap for AMD up until Ryzen, sorry, I should say, into 2021. Now you may recall back in May they did reveal a new codename for a Ryzen processor series by the name of Warhol. And what I can say from our sources is that we have had it confirmed that Warhol is indeed a thing. However, let's get back into today. So we can learn a little bit from what maybe W has shared from us, with us, sorry, should I say. And in the screenshot, we can see Van Gogh Zen 2 version, which Paul did actually briefly mention in his video yesterday, as well as Zen 3 based Cezanne, which again is still going to be based on the Vega architecture, as Paul discussed yesterday. Now, what's interesting about the Van Gogh architecture that we see here, it is labelled with CVML, which probably means computer vision and machine learning, so it's probably something completely different from what we're seeing with Cezanne. So what's really interesting though is that because we have actually been given, a couple of images from the same roadmap in kind of drip feeds from maybe W over the last few months, the video cards guys decided to try and piece it together, basically like a jigsaw puzzle, to try and get a more complete picture of this roadmap and try and stitch them together and see what we can see. Anyway, you'll find their article linked in the description below, but as you can see from their work they've done piecing the two images that we actually have for this, we can make a couple of educated guesses about this. So let's focus on Warhol, because that is the most interesting thing that we can see on this particular addition to the roadmap. It seems that we would kind of be expecting Warhol to be a thing in the middle of 2021. Now, other than knowing that Warhol exists, unfortunately, there's not really much more information our source was able to share with us. But it obviously could be any number of things. And it's also looking that we'll get Van Gogh Zen 2 and Cezanne just before Warhol. So it could be that we'll see Warhol in, like, I don't know, July, just to give an example. And then Van Gogh and Cezanne will be in, like, May or something along those lines. Again, I'm just making an educated guesstimate based on what I can see here. By no means am I basing this off any inside information. Still, it is nice to get more pieces to this particular roadmap and start to flesh out exactly what AMD have in store for us next year, especially given everything Paul discussed yesterday about both Cezanne and Zen 2 Van Gogh. Now again, go watch our video from yesterday. He goes into all the details about everything that we know about Van Gogh and Cezanne, but obviously you can make some educated... guess isn't really the right word, but you can kind of glean some information, I suppose I'm trying to say, from this. Again, like Zen 2 Van Gogh, 7nm, Navi 2, which make it the first APU based on Navi, because of course Cezanne still uses Vega. So the real question mark, of course, hangs over Warhol, but sadly this roadmap doesn't tell us what it is other than it's Zen 3 and based on 7nm, which is not particularly helpful because it could literally still be anything. Anyway, we're going to finish up with some gaming news, and we're going to start things off in this particular segment with some Demon Souls rumours. So, We actually don't know when the Demon Souls remake is coming out, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. I never played Demon Souls the original because it came out on the PS3, and I never owned a PS3. I was Xbox 360 that generation just because it was cheaper and I was a student, to be honest. Anyway, so according to findings from Gematsu over on Twitter, Demon Souls was rated in Korea on August the 13th. And according to Gematsu, with other first-party PlayStation titles, they've typically come out between 2 to 3 months after being rated in South Korea. So it could very well potentially be a PS5 launch game, and I think that would actually make really a lot of sense from Sony's perspective, because as they've seen with Bloodborne, FromSoft games sell consoles. So if they could have Demon Souls at launch, even though it is a remake, it's still a remake of a PS3 game, and it's a game that a lot of people haven't played, probably because, like me, they didn't get into the Souls games until like Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 and 3 and so on. So a lot of people are probably going to be going back, and there's probably going to be new entrants into the Souls franchise that like the look of the game, or perhaps just want to start where everything began, but remade, if that makes sense. Obviously, this is just a rumour, but it does make sense to me that we would see Sony do this, if possible. We'll obviously have to wait and see. We'll most likely get confirmation on the launch titles as we approach the expected release date, which is expected to be early November. To stick on the From Software track for a moment, I have a little bit of an update about Elden Ring as well. Now, sadly, this is not official information, so I just want to get that out of the way right now. But I do want to thank Tippy on our Discord channel for sending me this particular news piece. He did send it to me a few days ago, but I completely forgot about it until now, to be honest with you. But regardless of all that, so what we actually have is some comments from an Italian journalist over on YouTube. Hopefully I'm going to pronounce his name correctly. Gianluca Loggia. Hopefully that's correct. Anyway, so this particular journalist apparently knew about the collaboration with George R.R. Martin before Elden Ring was actually revealed, so he's obviously got some sources going on that side of things. And obviously people are asking him about Elden Ring, perhaps concerned that the game is run into development troubles, given that we have heard literally nothing in over a year. I think that's a valid concern to have. I know that thought has definitely crossed my mind more than once. Anyway, so he said, quote, "The game is doing fine, don't worry." And he also teased that we could see history, quote, repeat itself, meaning that we could see Elden Ring released shortly after the launch of next-gen consoles, similar to Dark Souls 2, the original release for the PS4 and Xbox One. So we could see spring 2021 for Elden Ring. Now, I think, to be honest, 2021 makes sense. I've pretty much given up all hope of it launching this year, but if someone wants to, dash that expectation and release it this year, that would also be fine. But in all seriousness, I do genuinely think we're probably going to see it next year, just due to the complete lack of any information at all. Like, every event, I'm sitting there like, give me that Elden Ring, come on. Just even the slightest smidge of a hint. And obviously, we have yet to see anything other than the E3 reveal, which was great. But we don't know anything about the game, sadly. So hopefully this information is correct, because obviously I would rather the game come out and be great, because I love From Software. That is not a secret, and I'm not ashamed. Anyway, that is me done for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, your support is hugely appreciated. Do remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It does help out a great deal, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.